All right, it's warming up. It's warming up. Okay, I think we're feeding through to the folks out there. I think it's actually happening. And yes, I'm in the van. This is what you see behind me. This is the van right there, that one. This is the new broadcasting studio, and tonight is the first night that we run a test. Really just a test. That's probably why you guys see the camera shaking a little bit, but this is a test that we're running from here using the Wi-Fi. I'm just downstairs from the studio, so that's what's going on for everyone tuning in. Let us know if our audio and all that kind of stuff is good. You might hear the air conditioning kick on in here. This is a smaller space, so I might need that so I don't suffocate. Let me go to the things that I usually say here. Make sure you guys go to hankstrange.com, okay? This is the way to support what we're doing here and the way for you to find out what we're getting up to as well. Lola posts deals up there. We also have a merchandise tab that you guys can find. Check it out. We've got patches on there. We've got the broadcasting patch, the blaster patch. We even have 2020 was hell in a handbasket patch that you can find there. If you get those patches, Lola's throwing in stickers. This is the grenade sticker, or you could just buy this grenade sticker on there. Lots of cool things on hankstrange.com, so make sure you guys check that out. I am going to load my guests up into the windows here. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Everyone is here. And I'm going to hit the open and go for it. Let's see. Hopefully we got the open.
Welcome back to the Hanks.
Boom. All right. Here we go, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Smash the thumbs ups. Ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. And we are live. Austin of Atlas Arms. This is your first time on the show. We do this thing here called Jazz Hands. Everyone has to do it. We're taking it back from the terrorists. There you go. Jazz hands, everyone. I hope you guys have your big girl panties on tonight. The special van edition panties would be the nice ones to have on tonight. This is the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Hank Strange. This, I believe, is, let's see, what episode? 719. And we're calling this, Is This Legal? Because I had to be, a little salacious. We have Austin of Atlas Arms, and he's the inventor of the Dagny Dagger project, and he's here joining us. Austin, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're welcome, man. Thanks for coming on the show. I actually saw you when you did John Crump's show, so big shout out to John Crump. Awesome show that you guys did, and I would refer folks over to that as well, because I'm sure you'll get some more out of that versus what we do here. Although I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be more fantastic than John.
Hey, just throw it all together.
Yeah.
One or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Also joining us is my friend Rolando, Puerto Rican Pistolero. What's up, man?
How's it going, everybody? I've just been hanging out, getting ready for Joe to head out to Orlando tomorrow. So I've been helping her pack.
What's going on in Orlando?
She's doing the Ambassador Academy with Diana Muller, and it's run by Diana Muller, and pretty much it's gonna be like a 5-day training course for
pretty cool.
Yeah, shooters and content creators and all that stuff. So Diana Muller is going to be there. Lena Michalek, Maj is going to be there. So she's going to have a good time. So we're going to drive up there tomorrow.
Awesome. That's great. All the ladies are there. And then what's Maj doing there? What's that?
They always bring Maj is always involved with everything.
Absolutely. I know he is, right? All right. And then we also have my friend, where is he there? He goes, Trey from Aries Training Facility, joining us. What's up, Trey? How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Lola says she's digging the hat, Rolando.
Go ahead.
There you go. Yep.
See, I'm not the only one then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just in case anyone wants to know, it says make taxation theft again. There you go. Make taxation theft again. Very nice. Very nice. Wait, hold on. Why do I have Rolando in there twice? Okay, boom. So, all right. And a big shout out to Franklin Armory. Thanks to them for sponsoring the podcast. We really appreciate that from them. Shout outs to everyone joining. As you guys are joining, smash the thumbs up. Share this if you can. We appreciate it. Let's see. Richard Monder says everyone should go to Hank's van to fill the black tank. Then Hank can drive to Wayne's home to dump it. No thanks. You won't be able to find me. So there you go. All right. So listen, we've got 2 hours here to do this. It's going to be fun. I want to remind you guys that there's actually no show tomorrow. Lola and I are taking tomorrow off because obviously we're moving out of the studio. We have a bunch of things to do. So, there will be no show tomorrow, but we'll be back Monday. So that's just a reminder to you guys out there. And you know what? Let's do this. Let's jump in here. Let's find out exactly who Austin is, his company, how he came to do all of this. And I guess that's the place to start, right, Austin? Tell us,
sure.
who you are, what you do, and how you came to this point.
Yeah. Well, I'm Austin Thomas Jones. I like to use all three names because if you look up Austin Jones, you'll find a YouTube star that's a pedophile. So, I ain't that guy. But what I am is the chief engineer of Atlas Arms. I guess you could call me the head of Atlas Arms. And then the question is, what is Atlas Arms? Well, right now, we are above all a 501c3 research company that researches, develops, and then commercializes new technology in the gun space. I think that's actually quite rare these days that a private company, somebody that's not just like an extension of the federal government, is kind of creating new firearms, and especially not a 501c3, but that's primarily what we are. And our biggest project right now, and our biggest project, in the last couple of years, has been the Dagny Dagger project. That is named after Dagny Taggart from the book Atlas Shrugged, which is also where we get our company name. We're big into thinking like that. And this project is to what? It's to design and develop ammunition which in a handgun can easily penetrate body armor, but is not armor-piercing ammunition under the federal definition. So, in 1986, the federal government banned the import and the manufacture of armor-piercing ammunition for handguns, or even ammunition that could be used in handguns, like an AR pistol. So, 223 falls under that also. And we're basically just bypassing the definition there. We're making our ammunition, better than kind of like the steel core stuff, pre-banned. So that's really the big project we're doing. We've been doing. We're making some really good progress on that. And several months ago, we released a demo video showing what it can do ballistics gel, which is great too. We can get into that, and showing some of its performance against armor. And we're still trucking with it, and we've got some other projects too that we can talk about. So, that's basically it. What else do you want to hear?
Okay, a couple of things, but let me just get this in here. So I see some guys saying that we're buffering a little bit. So that's, some of that's going to be some technical difficulties that we have. So I see my phone was on the internet, so I took that off. Hopefully that makes it better. And Lola was on, so hopefully that also makes it better. There may be a little bit of a delay to you guys out there, so if you missed something, let us know. Basically, what I'm getting, Austin, is that you're developing a new type of ammo that can I don't know what's the best way to put this. It can get around some of the laws that are here and also get around body armor. Did I?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
right.
explain that to the folks again, for the folks who missed out on that.
Yeah, so armor-piercing ammunition is illegal under federal law, and they have a very specific definition for what is armor-piercing ammunition. Okay, so our ammunition is not armor-piercing ammunition by the definition, but it is functionally armor-penetrating. So it'll go through armor. At this point, it'll go through basically any soft armor that's out there in 9mm, but it is legal, unlike any other ammunition that has been designed up to this point to penetrate armor. So
okay, and how? I guess like my question to that, and I don't know if the other guys have questions. How is that possible, and what can you tell us about how that's possible? I'm sure that's the first question. You guys can jump in here if you want to.
Yeah, right. Well, I hate to tell everybody, I'm in my preparations. I forgot to bring our little aesthetic prototype, but I do have some nice little diagrams. So if you take a look at here, there's like a cross-section view, and it's got a penetrator inside a jacket. So, I mean, that's nothing special, I suppose, but our bullet is very lightweight, so it is extremely fast. We're using a plus P loading, and we've really optimized the bullet shape to get as much velocity per pressure as possible in just, like the geometry of the bullet as well. And we're using this exotic alloy. And I can't say specifically what that exotic alloy is, but it is harder and stronger than AR500 steel, which is, of course, the steel that armor is made of. But it isn't steel. It's not steel. So it's not tungsten alloys. It's not brass, bronze, beryllium, copper, depleted uranium, or iron, or which comprises the list of materials that you can't use in a bullet, or it's classified as armor piercing and therefore illegal. So it's none of that, but it's exotic, and it's really hard, it's really strong, and the bullet moves really fast. So it's very, very good at penetrating armor. Just go figure, Congress and those yahoos that claim to rule over us don't really have a good handle, can't foresee new technologies coming along, and that's what this is. It's overcoming legislation with new and better technology.
Okay, go ahead, Trey.
I was just saying, it's unobtainium or adamantium.
Yeah, people say that.
Vibranium or something.
Yeah, vibranium.
I wish it was that cool. But no, I mean, it exists. It's an existing alloy. It's rare. It's uncommon for people to see it used, and I mean, that's really what it is. It's an alloy, and it's used a lot in high temperature and high strength, really extreme environments, so like jet engines, medical implants, things like that.
Yeah. So first of all, let me just say, I see some folks saying that it's buffering again. So I don't think for us we're really seeing that, but we may be having some issues getting the feed to go out to you guys, because I'm not seeing buffering on my end.
It's not buffering again. I can see it on my tablet every once in a while, it buffers, but we're good. We're fine.
Yeah. So just bear with us. I apologize for all those issues, guys. Obviously, we're like exploring new territories here, so really try to hang in there with me. So just from looking at this, so you're saying that this alloy already exists, right? And I'm gonna throw a picture up from, let me see, what is this website? This is Gun Dynamics, and this is what the round looks like here. It looks like...
Is it like a sabot round? It looks kind of like how a sabot is on a tank, with like a tank round. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people say that, and it is obvious why people say this is a sabot. I'll say that it's not. It's a jacket.
Okay.
And kind of the difference gets a little blurry there. But the reason why I say it is because we call this type of bullet, we call it armor penetrating hollow point, APHP. Not only does it penetrate like AP ammo that the police and military use does, but you can see there that it's got the penetrator point, which you can see, and then that jacket acts as a hollow point, an extreme hollow point in itself. So it's not a sabot because it actually has, that jacket is critical to the terminal performance.
So they move together pretty much until impact. Okay.
They stay fully bonded until impacts the target, and then and this is why I'm so excited about the APHP roll, is because it's a multi-roll bullet. If this hits armor or something hard, some kind of hard barrier, the jacket just shears off and that penetrator goes straight through.
Okay.
If it hits something soft like ballistics gel or flesh, whatever, Then, of course, the penetrator goes through completely, and that jacket expands in diameter as it shoves its way through. So we've got some videos out there of demonstrating and we compare it to a Federal HST, the HydroShock, and it's just, I mean, it's easily like 3 times as devastating as a HydroShock bullet.
Now,
Okay.
so the jacket is a different material, obviously, than the penetrator.
Yeah,
then.
that's right. It
Okay.
is a polymer. It's a polymer.
Oh, it's a polymer. Okay, I was going to ask
as
if it
a
was just a
solder
different
would
metal
be.
or. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm playing some video of this, by the way. So this video is from 2018. I'm guessing that it looks a lot different now than it did in 2018.
So this is just our, we didn't have anything at that point. This was just us saying, this is a project we want to do. We have a really good idea, a concept to do it. Help us do it. And this was essentially our crowdfunding video.
Okay.
So, and that's, it's, I know it's a lot to unpack, but that's the purpose of this project first and foremost. Yes, we're going to open up a commercial operation, but the whole intention of this has always been, we don't want to put IP claims on it. We don't want to monopolize it. First and foremost, we want to develop it, and we want to give it back to the public. So that's why we've crowdfunded everything. So not just, we're not just doing like pre-orders or whatever to fund the commercial sales or whatever, but the technology itself has been crowdfunded. So everything, it's taken us like $60,000 to develop this technology, and the bulk of it, I should say most of it, has been crowdfunded.
Okay. Did you have who had a question there? Was it Trey or comment?
Did you strip the copper away from, and then you put a polymer baked on coating? Was that I'm trying to figure out what you did with the round. So it's baked on polymer then? No.
Yeah. Well, okay. So it starts out as 2 pieces. We machine both pieces, the jacket and the core, and then we bond them together into one piece. So it is a solid bullet, a solid projectile, and it only breaks apart on terminal impact.
On impact, okay. There's lots of guesses out there. Brian Quick says probably some sort of Inconel nickel super alloy. Razor J.
Yeah, I mean.
Go ahead.
I know. There's the guessing games all over the place with what it is.
That's the fun of it.
Yeah, I guess at this point I could tell you, it's a super alloy. I'm not going to say what it is, and we have to be dealing with the ATF. It can't just be a little bit legal, because a little bit legal is a lot of bit illegal to the ATF. So you ain't never heard of it. I mean, even people that know rare metals, very few of them would have heard of it. So I can't say what it is, but I will tell you, if for those guys interested in metallurgy, it's 3,000 KSI in ultimate tensile strength, whereas AR500 is about 250. So
okay, all right. Razor JB says cobalt alloys. That's his guess. Jade Grew wants to know if this ammo is available to buy right now. I'm gonna say no, right?
No, it's not. It's still in development.
Yeah. LV Louis Cipher says I want to test this ammo against the 7.5 FK Bruno. So, and there's some other stuff going on here. So let me ask you this. This is the question that pops up to me. What kind of training, what kind of education or background do you have in order to be able to develop something like this?
Well, I guess my formal education is in aerospace engineering. That's what I went to school for. I have this fancy piece of paper that says I know how to do it. I don't value that much, to be honest. I think school is worthless. But I am a practicing engineer. Right out of college, I started my first company, which is 2020 Armor. We made smart body armor for combat sports. So like Taekwondo specifically, they've got to wear armor so that they don't kill themselves when they're sparring. And the way that they score Taekwondo in the Olympics sucked. So we thought that we could do it better. So we took this new sensing technology, which has only existed since 2012, and we started developing this in 2014. And to date, we're the only company that has commercialized this type of sensing technology. We put it in those protectors, and not only can it tell when you're hit, but it can tell how hard you're hit. And it scores combat sports like a real life video game. So like the top of the vest has like life bars and a clock on it. So as you kick your opponent, their life bar goes down in proportion to how hard you kick them, right? So
That's awesome.
I started that with a buddy of mine right out of college. So that gave me a lot of experience in, I guess you would say, like practical engineering, as well as a lot of insight into how to run a business, not just a business, but a hardware startup, which is, of course, notoriously difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like at the intersection of, body armor and running a hardware startup and engineering, that gave me a lot of background. And then I also, for a short time, I worked for a private space company developing like soft body armor for spacecraft.
Okay.
And that's, because like.
So you are a rocket scientist. Technically.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
We could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have all. I've always loved firearms as an engineer. I love firearms technology. But it's just seemed like with my background that armor or defeating armor was an appropriate place to start.
Okay.
So that's where this comes from. I have a pretty good intuition of engineering in general, of running a business in various types of armor. So there you go.
Yeah, let's take a look at. I'm gonna roll in the footage here. Hopefully this works for all the folks out there. Let's see. I'm going to roll in some footage. This is from September 30th, 2020. And I guess this is the video that you released. I can see the round in your hand here that you're showing it right now.
Yeah.
So
there's a bunch of like video game footage.
Yeah, there's some video game stuff. Yeah, let me see. I'll skip through this a little bit. Okay, it shows how we've got some kind of look of you kind of recessing. What does that do to recess that point in there like that? Does it help it to penetrate further before the point pops out? I can see you're using a reloading press to do some stuff.
Oh
here.
yeah. So I mean, this video, it's showing like the construction, like assembling the bullet from the two parts of it. It shows like seating in the press. The whole point of this is really because remember, number one, we're going to make this open source. So Yeah,
this looks like it's punching right through body armor here.
It is. There you go. Okay. But this, what I'm saying is like this isn't just we're gonna sell this commercially.
Mm-hmm.
We're making this open source and we're helping people make this thing at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's even beyond getting around the legislation or whatever. You're gonna be able to make it at home illegally if you want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big part of it, of our motivation.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have gotten a chance to see this. Let me see. I can actually share this video clip with the folks out there who are interested in this. What kind of feedback? Go ahead. What did you say?
BioShock, excellent choice.
Yeah.
Oh.
We have a kind of an Art Deco aesthetic going in our company, and as well, BioShock makes like big use of armor-piercing ammunition, so we wanted to show a parallel there. Maybe it's a little bit cheesy, but I thought it was cool to have like the video games come into life, and now like you can have AP ammo also.
Yeah. So a couple of things. Armament and Axis says, how much is this ammo per round? Do you have any estimates for that?
Yeah. So like everything, the answer's long, right? So initially, because of that exotic alloy. We're gonna have to charge like $225 to $275 per projectile, which is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's more than we want to sell it for. But the fact of the matter is, like, look, steel's illegal. We'd use that if we could, but this exotic stuff, it just is what it is.
Don't miss.
However, we're working on a few ways to make it cheaper. So one, even in commercial production, this may be using, and we're talking to like very, very high-end 3D printer companies, and this might actually be the first. The jacket might be 3D printed even for the commercial version. Like that might actually be more cost-effective and keep it the same performance. So we're looking at everything to bring that cost down, and if we can do that, that'll knock a good like 30-40 cents off that cost. And as well, we will be releasing an economy version that I guess you could say it trades off a little bit of the extreme penetration, just not quite as penetrative, but it saves a lot of cost, and that will be, especially in the era of COVID and Biden and all that's going on right now, that will be comparable in cost to Spear Gold Dot or Federal Hydroshock and that kind of thing.
Yeah. So there's some questions here. Someone was asking if you meant to say, Alan Powell says he's very interested, but he also says, did he mean to say you can make it at home illegally?
I mean, you can if you want. I mean, I'll tell you, look, I'm not telling you to do that.
Yeah.
But I do.
No one here is advising you to break the law.
Yeah, that's right.
We would never do that.
You should deeply consider that, and I don't. I don't do anything illegal. I obviously can't in my position. I'd be the first person to, go down for that. But no, it matters to us to expand, your the sphere of possible human action. So the state doesn't want you to do it. They'll hurt you for what you choose to own, whether it harms anybody else or not. And we're just kind of fundamentally opposed to that in our organization. And so we'll tell you how to make a couple versions of it, the versions that we will be selling commercially. You can make something at home exactly the way we make it to sell you. But then also, if you want to make it with tungsten, then it'll be much better performer. But hey, that's on you. We just, you know what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not telling anybody to do it illegally, but I believe very much in expanding, what is actually possible. If you want to take the law into your hands, I think that, it's right for you to be empowered to do that if you want.
Okay. Understood. Either one of you guys have questions? Rolando, Trey, comments?
Oh, so I guess when it's done, you're going to open source the plans, I guess, and the specifications once you're finally totally done. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. Cool. So we intend, I think you guys know what a ghost gunner is, right? Like the open source mill that's usually used to finish 80%. As kind of like a sub-project of the Dagny Dagger, we are developing an add-on for the ghost gunner that will allow you to make solid, copper brass bullets, at home using the ghost gunner. So you can make bullets now instead of just 80%. And the reason why we're doing this is so that you'll be able to use your ghost gunner to make the Dagny Dagger, and it'll just as easily as you can finish 80% with it, you'll be able to just turn them out, spend a day at it, and you might turn out 100 or 200 Dagny Dagger bullets using your ghost gunner. And then of course we're also making the jackets. We're really close to being able to make those jackets printable using a high-end 3D printer. So, it's not even just like, okay, here are the schematics, here are the blueprints to it, good luck on, you got to go buy a lathe and become a machinist. We're trying to make it as easy as possible so that you can just click a button and make yourself some Dagny Daggers.
Awesome. Okay, Trey, what was your question or comment?
No, it's just interesting. I was just kind of taking it all in. It's a lot of information.
Yeah, yeah. I think everyone's absorbing it right now. Let's see. Motorboater wants to know, how's the accuracy?
It's the accuracy is good. The precision is not the best. So accuracy would be like, it's going to go on your point of aim, right? So like if you shoot some typical FMJs out of your Glock 17 with this, and then you shoot the Dagny Dagger, point of aim doesn't change at all, right? But everything's a trade-off. And we call this the Dagny Dagger for a reason. It's intended for
Close up
pistol ranges.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So you don't if you plan on taking 50-yard shots with your pistol regularly, maybe the Dagner's not yard shots with your pistol regularly. Maybe the Dagner's not Dagny Dagger is not for you. And that there's just a trade-off that goes with that. You can't drive this extreme performance the way we do with penetration, with velocity, and all of that. Without a little bit of trade-off. So it's not quite as precise. Your grouping will open up just a little bit, and that's just a trade-off we had to make.
Okay.
But your point of aim is just fine. You'll be able to go from your training ammunition to this stuff.
Is this a plus P round, or is it just a regular round?
It'll be plus P plus.
Okay. Plus. And have you
that
shot
scares.
machine guns?
Say that again.
You shot them through smaller caliber pistols besides just like the Glock, but like a carry pistol. Have you shot them full auto? Do they cycle through the full auto machine guns and stuff like that?
Full auto we have not.
Okay.
We'll make sure they do, but it's still in development. But yeah, we've shot it through every pistol we can find. Frankly, it's more reliable feeding than even some designs of like ranged ammunition. Like it'll feed better than like flat nose stuff. We've never had a single in all of our testing with many models of pistols. We've not had a single misfeed, and some of that is like we were able to start from square one and design the entire shape of the bullet. So the shape of the bullet itself is specifically designed to feed reliably. I don't know what else to say. We haven't seen a failure yet.
Yeah, so I've got some other questions here. Razor JB would like to know how old you are. I think
I am 29.
29. Okay. All right. Very good answer there. And LV Louis Cipher says Austin is somewhat of a scary Bill Gates doppelganger.
I hope not. I mean,
yeah.
When
Bill
I was
Gates.
little, I used to think highly of Bill Gates, but now he's just terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say he's the scary one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Gates is a scary dude, man. He's trying to take people out en masse. Night Train says, what level body armor are you guys testing with?
So the highest level of body armor that we've penetrated so far is what is it? It's Safe Life's 3A plus, which is rated, of course, to stop, other really high velocity 9mm rounds, and is also rated to stop typical 5.7, 5.7 by 28. Mm-hmm. It penetrated cleanly through, and I should say that is without using our special alloy, right? So that was months ago, right after we released that first demonstration video penetrating 3A. So we're not using our special alloy yet. We're not at full pressure yet. We're the bullet's not shaped quite right yet. So it's completely unoptimized. But unfortunately, the fact of the matter is, the biggest question people always have is when's it going to be ready? When's it coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
It takes an awful lot of money. It takes an awful lot of time to do demonstrations. So we keep our donors to the project up to date in special updates. But besides that, we don't plan on kind of exploring more of the armor that we can penetrate until later.
Okay.
So at this point, there really isn't any soft armor that is significantly better than that 3A plus. So I think it's safe to say the Dagny Dagger does penetrate all soft body armor.
Okay, so let's. I don't know if you guys maybe we should go back here because I could see some people in the chat are wrapped around the issue of legal illegal going on here. So right now, the Dagny Dagger, as you're going to produce it, is that legal or illegal?
It is federally legal. There are as always, there are some awful states where it will be illegal because of how they define armor-piercing ammunition. However, federally, it is completely 100% legal.
Okay, so when you said that someone could do something at home illegally if they choose to, what were you saying? Were you saying that they can specifically use stuff that the government has said that they can't use, and they can do whatever they want to do? Right. You weren't you weren't talking about your design, right?
No.
Okay.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, like people think, because the gun industry is all about consumerism, right? It's all about like, oh, the new AR that everybody like, ooh, it's all flashy. Well, that's not how we operate. And I guess, like, to understand Atlas Arms, it comes from a place of, we're not just trying to make something to sell you. We're not trying to get rich. We want to make enough money to make the technology that we want to make possible. And first and foremost, we want to empower the individual. That's all that it's about. So we're going to give this technology to you, and you can do whatever you want with it, right? We're going to tell you how to do it legally. We're going to tell you how to do it illegally if you want, right? And I'm just saying, this isn't about the product we're going to sell you. This is about us giving the public the means to do whatever they want with this new technology.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we're clarifying that for the folks out there that are listening, that, first of all, we're not trying to, I would recommend you guys follow the law, or use your own judgment. We should all be grown-ups that are looking at this here. I think kind of what Austin is saying is, so for example, we have 3D printers, right? And you could 3D print something that would make your AR into a machine gun, but that would be illegal. But it's not illegal for you to have a 3D printer. It's not illegal for you to 3D print your own firearm. What it would be illegal to do is to make that machine gun. But these are decisions that you have to make as a grown-up. I think specifically your design here, if people make it to your spec, that would be legal, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct. So how?
But we also want to tell you how to do more than that.
Right. Understood. So how would they do that? And Trey, I know you're interested in this. How would they make that, like, on their own? They would have to somehow get this new metal from you, right?
Not necessarily. So if you want to use the metal that we're using, you can buy it from industrial suppliers. That's probably a headache. So we plan on kind of retailing the material ourselves, just to make it easier for people who do want to make it themselves. But you can make our economy version uses more available materials. You could go pick up on McMaster Car if you want, and other such websites. It's just we're giving you a means to make the thing. The material we're giving you a means to make the thing. The material you use is up to you. Okay. So we want to provide you with the material for you to have it, and then there are materials that'll just be easier for you to get, but maybe sacrifice a little bit of performance. There are materials that are easier for you to get that are illegal. However you want to do it. Take the responsibility onto yourself, and we just want to give you the ability. And then you can go hog wild on whatever you want to do. Yeah, because right now my understanding is that the government has said that it's illegal to make a steel jacket here because it's armor penetrating. Yeah, that's right. So specifically, to get into the legislation, it's the Law Enforcement Officers Protection Act in 1985. And, of course, all this anti-gun stuff is couched. I think I'm that person, too, that I don't want to lose my rights. I don't want these guys coming after me, knocking on my door, trying to take me out. If this is how they've set the law, I don't necessarily agree with it. But if there's a different way to do things that do not break the law, I don't see that as being a crime. It's like talking about taxes, right? They've set up these specific things that you have to do, or if you do this, you have to pay, you have to pay tax. It's illegal to deliberately avoid paying your taxes. It's not illegal to pay less taxes, though. Right? Yeah, right. Well, the law has built into it ways to get around it, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the weird thing to figure out there.
Okay, let's see. Are there any other questions on this? I think this is something interesting. I'd like to see it. If we don't have any other questions, we could probably move on to some. Go ahead.
Is it more dependent on the material or the velocity of the round, or the velocity is pretty normal within like plus P plus what you'd see?
So this is a 9mm bullet. It's flying at 2,300 feet per second out of a Glock 17. Yeah. So it's very high velocity, and we've got the material advantage. And then there's also, the geometry of the bullet is also, built from the ground up to maximize velocity with the pressure, and to maximize the terminal performance. So. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, let me just get this in here for a quick second. We'll come back to some other things. DCG44 says that Military Arms Channel is saying that he has sources confirming the sale of Colt to CZ.
Wow. That's something.
So, wow. Yeah, thoughts. Anyone who has thoughts on this? Who wants to go first?
Well, maybe they make nicer guns now. Make legal.
Can we bring?
Buy their AR?
Yeah. Can we make Colt great again? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Great again.
Yeah. Listen, I don't see this as bad news. I don't know. Nope. What you guys think? I think Colt's been suffering.
They're a solid established firearms manufacturer, so maybe they'll manage it like an actual business and not just run it in the ground like Colt originally did.
Yeah.
Yep. I think Colt just took too much advantage of their name without living up to it. So at least we know that CZ respects their customers and their own brand, and hopefully they'll put some pride back in Colt.
Yeah, I think Colt. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Hank. I interrupted.
No, I was gonna say I think that Colt has been taken down by location as well as the whoever's managing them, right? So obviously around them, politics changed and stuff like that, and they found themselves in a position where they're making things in a state where they can't even really sell a lot of these things that they're making, and that's difficult in and of itself. But that's easy to remedy. Get the hell out of the state.
Yeah, but they didn't want to sell it to us. What did they do? They stopped producing ARs for civilian use.
Yeah.
They're using Tag Folio and then CZ. That's the top. As far as competition shooters go, they trust CZ more than like Glock.
Yep, that's what my wife has got. She's got a CZ75, so I love it. It's an awesome gun.
Yeah,
awesome gun.
So then, why would CZ need to take on Colt? I mean, is there some kind of intellectual properties that they want to get their hands on?
Manufacturer.
Yeah,
They bought a plant, and they probably got a good deal on it because they were going under anyway. So they bought all their tooling, machining, their plant, ditch all the old guys that were running it in the ground and bring all new.
Yeah, but so won't they be facing the same problems that Colt was facing if they're still in the same place?
Not if they're shipping outside the state. Not if they're moving stuff. People. I mean, think about it. CZ is international. Colt really is an American gun.
Yeah.
Like I said, poor management. They ran it in the ground. Colt had it. They had everything. They had ARs. They had 1911s. Everybody wanted a Colt. And now look at it. Do you really think, hey, I really want a Colt? Nope, absolutely not. You want something else. I want a SIG 1911, or I want LWRC. They left themselves open, and people stepped right in and took over. Part of the market they didn't do. Go ahead, Ron.
I think if they can at least bring Colt back to the quality that people expect. The brand is so powerful, because I think sometimes we forget that because we're kind of in the gun community or in the industry, that we kind of hold Colt's misfortunes or their mismanagement against them, whereas your average Joe Schmo is going to be like, Colt, legendary brand. I always know Colt. Like if CZ, they're not going to care that CZ owns them now. They're going to care, hey, Colt is back. They're making guns again and they work well. I'm definitely going to buy it because it's Colt. And I think that's how people will see it. It'll be something nostalgic that if they bring it back and it works, I think they'll do well, especially in this market. Obviously, if the laws don't change drastically and there's a ban or something like that, if they can manufacture stuff, people are going to buy it, whoever makes it, and they're going to buy it overpriced right now.
I mean, look what Colt did. We're going to re-release the Python.
Yeah. So.
Oh, you're re-releasing a wheel gun. Now, I like wheel guns, but I'm not rolling a wheel gun. I can. But nobody's like, Oh man, we ought to better run out and grab us
Yeah,
some
that would be for
Doing that.
nostalgia. But here's my thing, the point that I wanted to make about location, right? And you guys, so they're in Connecticut, Colt's in Connecticut, right? I'm pretty sure of that. Okay, so they're in Connecticut. In Connecticut, the people they if they're manufacturing stuff there, they have people working in the factories and doing different things for them that are living in Connecticut. They cannot buy the guns that they're making. Now you might say, well, what does that matter, right? They're selling it to us in the rest of the country. So I know that I had an experience with a company that was in Connecticut that was making ARs, that I went out there to check out their ARs, and I picked these things up, and I was racking, I was racking the charging handle and stuff like that, and it felt gritty, and I pulled the trigger, and I was like, oh wow, this is pretty terrible. And they wanted to sell this for a lot of money. So the guy who was designing and building this stuff, I was like, this is the first thing someone's gonna do in a store, right? If you're going to a store and you have to buy an AR-15 for some reason, you're going to start racking it, pulling the trigger. They're going to look at this thing. If someone wants $1,200 for it and you wouldn't pay $400 for it, this is how you're going to think. And I was asking the guy about this, and he was just looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, do you even like ARs? And he was like, no, I'm more of an AK guy. I was like, okay, do you even take these things out? Do you even shoot these things? And he told me that the only way that he could shoot them is with the company. So he doesn't go out there as a person on his own and shoot these because he lives in Connecticut. They can't own this. It's all this craziness. That takes away that soul that connects us to a brand. That's taken away when the people aren't enthusiasts of the thing that they're making.
I agree.
Could CZ was building a factory in Arkansas, right? Could they just take the tooling if they wanted to, and I guess move it there?
Yeah, I don't see why not. They own the name. They could do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
Now they could just take the tooling, and at least they'll lose the factory, but they've got the tooling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's instead of starting from scratch, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Now they can.
Yeah, hopefully they have plans to do that. I think in just certain states, it's just, why do it, man? How can you make the people that are working there enthusiasts when they can't buy the thing? If you go visit Kel-Tec, and I know people might get mad at me because I'm saying Kel-Tec or whatever, but the employees of Kel-Tec are constantly getting free guns from Kel-Tec, and it's in Florida, and I think every 6 months that you work there, they give you a gun, and those guys are happy for that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Don't take my word for it, but I think I saw something like that, right? That there's these.
That or they get a big discount or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
They get 50 or 60% off these guns.
But they're enthusiastic. I could just tell you, I could say something.
I don't even need that much off. I just want access, right? I just want to be able to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you most of the people who work, I'm not going to say all, right, because there might be some people there, but a lot of the folks who work at Kel-Tec are enthusiasts about guns, and the stuff that they're making, they are buying, they're competing with them, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that makes it, even though we can complain about some issues or whatever with Kel-Tec, these people are enthusiasts of what they make, and I think that's really, really, if you see the passion in Austin, that's important. That's what we're going to buy into more than anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just think Colt thought that they were the big boy, and they were always going to be the big boy. And like I said, what did they do? They're going to re-release the Python. Nothing new, no cool new pistols, nothing different. And hey, if you release a wheel gun, at least make it different from the one you sold in the 70s.
Yeah. But if you were just making money, because of your name for a long time, you kind of go through atrophy, right? You don't have to use your brain that much. You don't have to think outside the box.
Yeah, we see that in technology all the time. I mean, look at Apple. I feel like the iPhone has been way behind now for the last few years. They've stagnated because they kind of don't need to do anything, or they feel the same way. It's not that the product is, now it's a little bit different than Colt. It's not that the product is bad, but there's no innovation there anymore.
They don't lead.
Yeah, exactly. So that just seems to be the evolution of a lot of companies. When they get on top, they sell out, and then they get corporate management, and the corporate management is about the bottom line and not necessarily about the soul or growing or creating something new.
That's what happens when you get big. Austin, I
Yeah.
feel like you want to jump in here, man.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I to be honest, I don't know that much about Colt, and one of the reasons why is because I'm into firearms technology. I don't give a damn about the name. So there you go.
I think a lot of us are like that now. Do we really care about the name that much? Let me ask that question. How much does an actual brand mean to everyone? Let's Trey.
No, I don't think we're brand struck, but I do go, okay, this company is reputable. I've shot their guns. I know they're good, so I know that if I purchase their product, that it's going to be good for me. I think for us, it is different. Not like, oh, I got to have a Colt. It's a piece of crap, but I got to have it. No, I don't think that's kind of the case. I mean, I like SIG. Everybody knows I like SIG. But I'll pick up a Glock and shoot one. If it rolls and it does good, I'm happy with it. So if somebody asks me, hey, what do you think of this Glock? Glocks are great. If you like them, run them. They're not garbage. Even the High Point, as we in an earlier episodes, Hank, I've been telling people, if you don't have the money, buy a High Point. They work. I mean, they function.
They stand behind the gun too. They stand behind the gun.
I said it for years, and now I'm like, dang, the thing actually shoots.
And I think High Point stands behind that gun, right? You could buy it new, used. I bought a used one, and I took it apart, and a bunch of parts flew out. Could never find them again. I called them up. They just shipped out the parts to me. They didn't even ask me anything.
But they still won't make those parts kits.
I knew that was coming. Yeah.
Certain guns that just they're garbage.
Well, if they stagnate, like we're saying, if companies don't innovate, this is the way that you go. Look, I like Daniel Defense, and I know people that are all about Daniel Defense, and I'm not trying to knock them here. I have a Daniel Defense integrally suppressed rifle. You know, I put together an integrally suppressed rifle, you know, from different places. I'm more happy with the one that I put together than the one from Daniel Defense. And really, the Daniel Defense, I'm paying more money just so they can have furniture that has Daniel Defense logos all over it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and so I kind of feel cheated at the end of the day. Like, really, this is how, you know, give me something that's really different out there, and I'll be fine paying the money for it, but I don't want to pay the money just to get like the cool logo and stuff.
Well, and again, those people get stuck in. I'm sorry, Austin, I did not mean to.
Go for it.
They get stuck in a rut. Daniel Defense did come up with that bolt gun. I have to say, we were shooting it. It shoots really well. I'm very, but yeah, the dude come out and get stuck. I mean, look, Nike shoe. What did he come out? Another shoe. It's brown instead of white, but it's the exact same shoe. No innovation. I do agree with you. I mean, how much innovation can you have in a firearm? You can have quite a bit, but maybe what they do is they tweak the tolerances. They need to listen more to their customer base, not just, hey, we're Colt, we're gonna build whatever, and we don't care. They'll buy it because we're Colt. No, we will not. We will go to LPRC. We will go to POF. We'll go to these different companies, Spikes Tactical. We'll find somebody that makes a quality gun that we're happy with, and we will leave you, and you will be sitting there trying to figure out what happened.
I think a good parallel, and this kind of brings in Austin, and even I can throw this and compare Austin and Elon Musk in one throw here. It's cars themselves, the shape of cars and things like that. We know what works aerodynamically. We know it works. We've got tires, compounds. We know that. What's been changing is the propulsion. So it kind of works the same way with firearms. We know what works. You've got a barrel. It goes down a projectile goes down a barrel. And that's pretty much it. The gun, the functionality of a gun, we know what we can do. It's projectile technology that really needs to advance at this point. Whether it's what Austin is creating here with something that, you know, circumvents or changes the way the projectiles are made, or, you know, in the future it might be like rail guns or plasma weaponry, something like that, lasers, you know, whatever it is. But that form, that form factor is we've kind of reached the point where the form factor works. Even if you create like a laser weapon, it's probably still going to have like a pistol grip and a trigger because naturally that works.
You got to use your hands. Well, for now.
Yeah. So
for now.
Yeah, and same thing with cars. So now it's about instead of internal combustion engine, we have batteries. You know, that's kind of what's changing it.
So I spoke at I spoke at a conference like a few months ago, and a new one's coming up, Barnauls and Bitcoin, which, by the way, both Matthew Larosiere and Alex from Control Pew will be at.
Sweet.
Cool.
Yeah, but, you know, a big part of what I talked about is like stagnation in the gun industry, and it's bad. It's really, really bad. They look at it like, I'm sick of ARs, guys. I know that's like sacrilege in our space, but like, look, it's 75 years old. Why don't we have something
More
better?
bullpups.
Yes.
I run Ace Khalil. I run the Ace Khalil. Have you seen it? It's awesome. Y'all seen Ace Khalil at all?
I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me. At some point.
0.62 by 39, side charging handle.
I like side charging.
Oh,
I
yeah,
I wish more guns were side charging. I mean, come
It
on.
runs off standard AKM mags, so there's nothing proprietary to it. It's very user-friendly and be safety, but the one safety on the bottom is by your thumb. Oh, big surprise there. You just pop it.
Yeah.
The other safety is on the top by your trigger finger. You push straight down, and then you're able to engage.
I mean, let me ask you guys this: why are we still stuck on charging handles? Now, I understand the guys in the military. You're gonna be like, oh, you know, charging handle worked awesome for me. I get it, and I will always have a bunch of ARs. But can we do some stuff like side charge? I mean, that's not even new.
That's it. Like that kind of gets to like the core of what my talk was. Is like it is the military.
Yes.
Like when I talk about like how it's bizarre that we're a nonprofit trying to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It would even be weird if we were just a private company trying to do this stuff rather than some extension of the government. But that's it. The firearms industry is the government, because no matter how much money all 100 million of us spend on guns, we will never outstrip the infinite supply of other people's money that the DoD has to say this is what the next generation of gun is. So it's always going to be the military. And I guess like that's a point of Atlas Arms, is we're trying to make guns that aren't for the military, that don't come, that technology doesn't come from the military and then kind of trickle down to us, peasants.
Well,
or
so
whatever. We're trying to make stuff straight for the individual. And I just another tag on to that, said talking about the name of a company. I don't care about the name, but Kel-Tec is the one company that I know that I'm going to always find making something interesting.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I think, I agree with what you're saying, and this is the twist for it for me, right? Because I don't want to say that I disagree. I think you're making a good point. But here's the problem. All these companies are competing to get the military contract. Only one is going to get it, right? Or only a few of these companies are going to get it. If they're trying to get the military contract for a pistol, only one of them is going to get it. If they're trying to get it for an AR, there's like, we're limited on how many things the military's buying. So at the end of the day, what happens to the rest of the 1,000 companies out there that didn't get that contract, and they made something that's boring to us in the civilian market? As Trey was saying earlier, we don't want that. We're bored of that.
I mean, do we or don't we? Because I think the most recent example, I agree on the AR space, but let's take a recent example. What contract did the military finally decide a couple years ago? The PDW, they won their first SMG in like 50 years. And so they chose the BNT APC-9, and pretty much every loser of that contest went on the civilian market. Even the Streetbog, I think, early on was one of those that competed for that DoD contract. So we've got a ton of SMGs, the SIGs, I think, the SIG, MPX, and all that all competed for that. And so we got that. And, I mean, it seems like everybody bought it up, and PCCs became super popular, and it's kind of because of Austin said that was because of the military. It was like, are we really into PCCs, or was it because the military had a contract, and then those companies started pushing that, and we're like, hey, it's something that's not an AR, let's buy that. So did we create that market, or did that that market create itself?
Well,
and sometimes you have to ask yourself, so did the military created that market?
But furthermore, though, the military does that, and then it's these like, I don't want to say they're all boomers, but you know what I'm saying, that if it's good enough for the troops, it's good enough for me. Well, what you need in your life is different than what the special forces need on their missions. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is a completely different thing here. So
I think it depends what category of gun guy you are. We all have those certain things out there. And then when it comes to getting multiple things, which is where the civilian market is different, right? Because we're going to get multiple things. We're going to get things for the cool factor or the brand or whatever. I just really think it comes down to where you're at. Like, are you that gun person that only has maybe 2 or 3 guns, or are you that person that wants all the guns? I'm in the all the guns category, whether I can afford them or not. And I think that's how. And then so with a lot of these things, it comes down to price. Strybog has done very well because of the price, versus like B&T, for example, right? And I'm guessing B&T got all the contracts in Europe. Yeah, so I think that's also a factor. But ultimately, we all do want the cool things, but maybe the smaller. This is just leaving space out there for the smaller companies,
But I think what Austin brings up is actually a really awesome point that I never really thought of myself. That we always talk about, especially since we kind of go in the tactical space a lot of times. We all do it. If you're into guns and you're an enthusiast. But they always talk about what you need for your mission, and it's true. The civilian self-defense mission is completely different from the military, and you even see it in training. And I love sometimes watching. I forgot who runs that. I think it might be Gun Talk Radio has those scenarios where they'll show civilians and even military guys, and they have them run through self-defense scenarios with SIRT pistols. And sometimes the military guys, despite having the training and even experience, because they're trained in rules of engagement where it's like you cannot fire unless these specific things happen. Whereas in the civilian situation, it's like once you're under attack, that's it. Rule of engagement is you can defend yourself in most states. I mean, if you have stand your ground laws, or it's just law of survival. You may not care what the law is. I have to protect myself. And there is no rule of engagement in the civilian world. So you can even see how those tactics are different, and how sometimes military guys, when they're thrown to self-defense, they're like, wait a second, they're so ingrained in rules of engagement. It's like, wait, I don't even know, can I engage this person? I have to assess the situation, whereas the civilian's like, shoot first, ask questions later.
And at this point, like the U.S. military is offensive. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here are the bad guys. My superiors tell me to go kill these guys. That's what we're doing. We're not they're not like in the U.S. defending their homes, right? If you're defending your homes, if you're trying to, protect your family, look, you're not trying to kill those guys. You're trying to lay down fire. You're trying to just, bristle as much as you can to get the hell out. You know what I'm saying?
So Trey, you've been in the military and you also do a lot of training. I'm very anxious to hear your input on what we're saying here, because you're training people every day.
I've just seen.
You're good, Rolando. Talk for a while too. Rolando, I'm going to tell you a funny story that happened to me in Vegas. So I took the concealed weapons class in Vegas because I needed to carry in Vegas, and at the time Florida was not reciprocal. I had to take their license. So we're sitting in the class. It's an 8-hour class. It's absolutely boring. And there's an Army guy sitting up front. I like in the Army, straight up Army guy. And so we're sitting back there. And so the guy gives us a scenario, and he points at each person. He says, shoot or don't shoot. Let's do the whole class. It's that Army guy, and the guy's like, I de-escalate the force is going on. He's going on over all this stuff. And I go, hey, man, he said shoot or don't shoot. He didn't say all that stuff. Anyway, go to the class. And most people are not shooting. That guy's doing all that. He points at the 2 Florida guys, and I'm like, shoot. The guy next to me is like, shoot. We were like, that guy's beating the whole. He had a bat, and he was like smashing at our windshield trying to get to us. And I'm like, and then we were trapped in traffic. I'm like, dude, I ain't talking to that guy. I'm lighting him up. Now I might pull my piece and go, you need to drop the bat. He's swinging. You're gonna get. Sorry, we're gonna find out if them armor piercing rounds work.
And that was pretty much the exact scenario I saw. It was you're at home and somebody knocks on your door, and then they're the distraction. Somebody comes through your back door to try to attack or whatever. And so this gentleman was a veteran, and the guy's coming at him with a bat, and he's almost like, stop there, don't do it, and all this stuff. Whereas the civilian who'd kind of gotten some basic training. But in self-defense, immediately, as soon as that guy broke through that door, he's like, you broke into my house, it's a shoot. Like, he just immediately shot as soon as that happened. So it was totally different. He's like, I don't need the question. You broke into my house. That's it. There's no rule of engagement here. You already violated my...
But if you're in the military, you belong to them, right? I mean, that's the end of the story,
it's
right?
Different,
and unfortunately...
And that's understandable. A lot of scenarios.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of times you're the cheapest thing that's on the battlefield. I mean, I hate to say that. I never served, like a lot of folks out in our chat have. I know Trey has. But it seems to me sometimes, like when you look at the way that people look at folks in the military, it's like they're looking at it as the cheapest thing out there. It shouldn't really be that way. You know, so they've got all these rules that don't really protect the individual soldiers versus
and if the
politics.
men are disposable, then you can imagine the guns they're carrying are also meant to be disposable.
And there's another problem with this. I was in the military, so I know what I'm talking about. What'd you do in the military? I was a cook. You don't know what you're talking about. You know how to cook. So tell me about pancakes and we'll talk all day. So you get a lot of guys that are, I was in the military. What'd you do in the military? I was in laundry, or I was a diesel mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't know anything. I mean, you know how to shoot a gun. Here it is. Point it over there, pull the trigger, you pop them. They don't really know about a lot of that stuff. And so what starts happening is, I hear it all the time. My friend told me because he was in the military. What do you do in the military? I don't know. Well then, what if he puts the architect on a plane? He ain't carrying, he might be carrying a piece, but he ain't using it. He's basically trained with the gun. Here it is, put this in here, do this, point it that way, shoot it. All right, you qualified, stick it in the holster and go back to work. And the guys aren't trained. They're basically trained. Now, some of the guys are highly trained, absolutely, but you got to look at the guy's level of training. Just because he's in the military didn't mean he was pumping up tires on the back of a APC trying to get it down the road. I mean, you got to look at what the guy did in the actual military before you.
Yeah, and that's not being disrespectful of the fact that he stepped up and served, but you know, everyone serves in a different way, right? So
well, exactly. I don't mean that. There's logistics. So for every guy that fights, there's 10 other guys that support him. I don't mean it like that. I was in the Navy. Sometimes we were the transportation, and sometimes we were rolling. I mean, we rolls, but you know, you got to look at it, be realistic. I mean, and nothing against police officers, but police officers same way. Everybody's like, oh, he's a police officer, he knows about guns. So I was dealing with police officers on another range, and they're looking at a pistol, just trying to figure out how to get the magazine out of the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Says, you're a gun guy, can you figure it out? And I go, yeah, it's right here. He goes, how'd you know where that's at? It's European release, it's right here on the bottom. Oh, and they've been playing. I watched 3 of them play around with it, going, ugh. I mean, it was clear, it was obviously safe, but he goes, I know my Glock, I know my shotgun, and I know my AR. The other guns, I know nothing about them.
There's special operators like that too, right? There's guys who went there's guys who went out there and actually
grandmother over here advice on how to defend herself and carry a gun. I think you need to, and we see in the store, guys come in, you need to buy a 1911, and the woman's like 95 pounds. Can she shoot? Of course she can. She ain't carrying it. It ain't comfortable. 1911s are complicated if you're not a shooter. It is not a first-person shooter gun. And we have the debate of semi-auto versus revolver. I tell people, get the gun for the level of training and the level of shooting you're going to do. If you're going to buy a gun and never shoot again or never train, buy a revolver. If you're going to buy a gun and you're going to train and take a little time to learn how to use it, buy a semi-automatic.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, a lot of those lightweight, I think Lola and I went through that someone was like, oh, get this lightweight revolver, which was fine, right? Because she got it, okay, it's lightweight. But then once she started shooting it, she was like, oh, I don't like how this feels in my hand.
Absolutely.
Well, this is...
Too late now.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll buy it. I'll give you half off.
Already sold it. Okay, let's...
I carry it as a backup, and then I carry my concealed carry.
Yeah.
I know that when I pull that 357 Magnum out, there's some pain coming down there.
Yeah.
The only guys like, it's got 5 shots. Yeah, it's going to put a fist hole in your back, though.
Yeah, and under those circumstances, you're not going to feel the recoil going through your hands or any of that kind of stuff. Okay, listen, I want to do this before I forget. This is the only reason why I'm trying to, and this is like a little bit of a twist. We've got Austin here. He's making a new special kind of super ammo. And then Paulie Walnuts out there has Paulie Walnuts has this comment. He says, I don't want anything firearms related. I don't have ammo. Laugh out loud. So we've got Austin here. He makes ammo. We have to have the ammo. We got to have this ammo conversation, right?
Okay. So I got some things to say about this.
Right.
I got some things to say.
Okay.
Okay. So, we don't produce any ammo yet. I'm real excited to, because this is a great market to be in to add more and better ammo to the market, but. Anybody who reloads, and I don't know if you guys do, but the primers are the choke point.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that's the way it is. Everybody, and some gun guys, if you're really into guns, you might have heard of the Remington E-Tronics, right? It's like an electric primer. But that primer is only, it's electric, sure, but like it was only made to be shot once. So another project that Atlas Arms has going on is what I call arc primers, and the idea is essentially you replace that percussion cap primer with an insulated electrode in there, and you have an electronic fire control system. And people say, yeah, but I don't want a battery in my gun. Well, look, you can just not have ammo at all, which is what we're kind of down to now. But the idea of this is like, because it's just an electrode, it's infinitely reusable. As in, if you prime, say 500 rounds, 1,000 rounds of brass with this arc primer, then as long as you keep reloading that, you don't have to put another primer in the entire life, right? So like these are the things we do need to think about. And I appreciate you saying, yeah, a lot of this comes down to ammo technology. But these are things we got to start thinking about, is if these corporations, which are in bed with the government, because that's what the firearms industry is mostly, and especially as we're facing unfriendly forces with the Biden administration and every Democrat that sits in the White House, we got to start thinking about, like, what are the chokeholds, like what do we need to do to guarantee that we continue to have access to guns, because we see the financial chokeholds. It's not gun bans exactly. It's making it expensive and difficult to have guns.
Yeah. So I don't know because I think I missed some of that here. So you're saying that there is a technology that we can use to replace primers, so we can use the same firearms, but a different kind of primer that's reusable.
Yeah. That's right.
Go.
Say that.
Say again.
Technology years ago they used, and it never came to light. It never worked. They basically made a powdered cartridge. The cartridge is made of powder with a projectile in it, and inserted, and it ignited that with electricity. Now, Austin knows more about it than I do, but I remember that back in the 80s.
So
Remington had a rifle in like 2000 that a bolt action rifle that used that technology.
Really? Okay.
And I was going to ask, I was like, do you even need a battery? Could you have a capacitor and then you charge it? And I know Vanessa Kitty kind of stole my thunder in the chat.
Is that what Vanessa was?
A piezoelectric circuit instead. So obviously you can use motion or friction to charge something temporarily, and for a gun, you may not need a long charge to fire a magazine, then you just crank it back up.
There was Daisy, like the air rifle company, Daisy, made a caseless rifle, caseless firearm back called the VL, and it uses adiabatic compression. So the piston of the air rifle compressed the air, superheated the air, and that's what ignited it. So, there's more than one way to do this. The point is, like, even like everybody that tries to make new primer technology, they do this for like muzzle loaders all the time, like these new fire sticks and stuff like that, or the Remington E-Tronics, and some of the other stuff you're talking about. They always want to make it the same. They want to keep the model the same. They're the corporation that's selling it to you, so they want to make sure that they can, if they sell you the handle for your shaving razor, they want to make sure they can keep selling you the blades for it, right?
Yep.
Well, we got to get away from that. We can't be dependent on primers of any type anymore. We need primers that are infinitely reloadable. Like you reload it, you don't knock the old one out. The same primer just works, and that's what I'm talking about. This is a very exciting Atlas Arms project that we're just starting to get into.
Okay, so you are, because I was going to say, like, are you guys working on this? Okay.
We are. So, I mean, it's just that. Say again?
Have you ever seen well, I'm talking to Hank, but I didn't mean to interrupt you, Austin. Have you ever seen them make primers? It's freaking crazy. They got like a bunker and one dude in there making primers. That's why I only have one primer factory in the United States. All of those are seized. And the guy's in there making it, so if he messes up and explodes, it only kills him in the room. And that's how they make primers.
What does that job pay? Is it enough? I don't think so.
Yeah. Sorry, Austin. I did not mean
to.
No,
you're fine.
No, that's a good. That's a good point, though. It's difficult to make primers then, even under good circumstances, right? And this is why it is a choke point. But because it's a choke point, I agree with what you're saying, Austin. We need to develop ways. Why didn't you go this direction? Like, I'm not knocking the 9mm round that you're working on. I mean, that's probably going to call more attention. I'm sure the FBI, ATF, every single alphabet agency is going to be observing you closely. Why not go the primer direction first?
So, man, this is kind of hard to. If you allow me,
Sure.
to go back.
Yeah.
Atlas Arms started on this idea of like a replacement for gunpowder, because I mean that's really you start to think. I mean, if you're like me, and maybe everybody isn't so conspiratorially minded or something, but you know, you start to think about like the way gun bans go, and first they'll ban this, and then we can do it. You know, if California's got their ammunition like background check, well, that sucks. So then we'll just make our own ammo. Okay, so we need to be able to make our own bullets and brass, and you know, like all this stuff. What do you come down to? The hardest part of it is gunpowder. Now, gunpowder is actually really hard to make. So, the first Atlas Arms concept they came up with was a replacement for gunpowder. That's really, 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 really difficult unless you want to risk killing yourself.
Okay.
So we thought we need to start somewhere else, and we didn't want to be, you know, just another monster corporation that monopolizes it, so you can't actually get access to it and that kind of thing. So we thought we needed to start small. If we wanted to be the kind of people that just, you know, give it away and like empower the individual rather than just making a buck, then we had to start with something that would really connect. And we thought the best way we could do that, instead of making space aliens that are like entirely new to this world, maybe we would start by raising zombies back from the dead with armor-piercing ammunition. And, you know, this is not a cheap or easy project. Very, very difficult, as it turns out, to make new technology like this.
Mm-hmm.
But it is more accessible for like a small company, and it's a lot easier to crowdfund and that kind of thing. And back when we started this, we didn't have the kind of prescience of the 2020 ammo industry where primers are the choke point.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had known that, then yeah, we would have started with the electrical ignition. But you know, every project builds on another. So we've got concepts for, dare I say it, some practical caseless stuff, but that requires the electrical ignition.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we've got, you know, a lot of concepts we want to build on, but in a lot of the ways, like for the Dagger, you know, it being like, okay, this looks appropriate for now. I think our next big project is really going to be that electrical ignition. Why? Because I think we all understand now just how necessary it really is, and we just didn't know that before.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You guys could tell me if I'm wrong. Do you think time's really working against us here? Because this feels like this is going to go at least until the end of the year, maybe for the next couple of years. That we could be.
Ammo?
Yeah, the ammo situation.
Oh, I think it's next year for sure, and that's like just with the status quo. I think the fear factor might keep things up that far, and if anything changes, then it's just going to get worse, or it's going to be, well, now you got to get background checks, or you just can't buy certain ammo at all. So if it goes that way, I don't know. But
Well,
I think the fear will keep demand high.
Yeah, I deal with it on kind of the distributor level, a little bit higher level, and what we're seeing is it's not just there's ammo there, it's shipping.
Yep.
These ships are quarantined. They can't get out of the shipping dock, or medical supplies are prioritized. They can't get these things out. And then when they do get here to the States, what happens is they sit off the coast for 2 to 3 weeks, a month, because there's not enough truckers here that can clear the background check, get the COVID test, and come in and pick up all the product. The ammo's there. The problem is getting it to where it needs to be. The choke point is primers, yes, for ammo, but the real choke point really is international shipping. And we deal with this all the time. I've seen stuff come in and sit off the coast of Miami for a month. It's sitting there. I'm like, I'll just go get a boat. We'll go get it. The guy's like, no, you got to wait until they offload the container at the shipping yard, and we're short on truck drivers because they're either A, sick, they couldn't pass the background check, or they didn't pass the COVID test, and they got to quarantine for 10 days or 14 days or whatever. So, there's a lot of choke points. But Primer really is, he's 100%. Primer is the one as far as the actual manufacturing of the ammo. But international shipping is also another one. And if we fly it in, you can double and triple the price now easily. I mean, 8.6 million new gun owners this year. That's an unbelievable amount of people. That was with the demand already high.
Mm-hmm.
They each bought 1,000 rounds. 8.6 billion rounds in 1 year were sold. Now think about it. That's just to the new gun owners, not to us. We're out there rolling Hank style, rolling 50,000 rounds a year or whatever. But I mean,
oh, that would be the dream.
Money's there. People see the money. The money. They're not stupid. They're chasing the money. Them guys don't care if they're selling bullets or if they're selling N95 masks. They want to make money, and that's how simple it is.
Yeah, that's what it is business-wise. Okay, I know a lot of people are still having some buffering problems, and people like, Hank, move the van. The van is in the best position. I'm going to see if I can put an antenna on here to make it better, but let's realize a couple things. One, like right now, I've got the studio space as well as the van, but we have to move out of the studio by the end of the month, so that's not going to make any difference. Once we move out of the studio, I'm going to be using phone signal. But right now, I'm in the best position to get the Wi-Fi from the studio, short of dropping a line down out the window, which there's no window. So.
You got a Tesla right now, right?
Yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to email Elon. You need to ask him to get on the Starlink.
Program. Yeah. I really need that.
So I was watching Linus Tech Tips, and they were getting like 150 megabits down with only like 27 millisecond ping on satellite. I was like, what? This is ridiculous. That's how good it is.
That's crazy. So this is kind of bad tonight, and I apologize for that. If you're looking at this through Facebook or somewhere else that I shared it, I would say go directly to YouTube, because what's happening, like for us, the signal's not really that bad. We're all able to see each other, and then there's a software that I'm using that's recording this, and then that software is sending it to YouTube, and then people are seeing it from YouTube, from the YouTube link on Facebook and other places. So because you're that removed, it's probably a little bit worse, but I apologize. We have to do this so that we can figure out how to make these things better. But so after we've ended the podcast and it's replaying on YouTube itself, it'll be a lot better than this. But I apologize. We're heading off into uncharted waters here. So far as I know, I'm the first person I know to start broadcasting from Apocalypse Van. That's basically what's going on here. I could be on the move. Yeah, I could be on the move. And trust me, this is like, let me see, I can show you guys. Look, that's the night out there. It's nighttime out there. Let's see. Well, you probably, you know what? I'll pop this. No, I don't. Actually, this is a bad neighbor. This is a bad neighborhood. I'm not gonna. I don't want anyone to see. I don't want anyone. I don't want those.
Your apocalypse van isn't very useful if you just hang around bad neighborhoods.
No, the studio is in a really bad neighborhood. There's literally a building down the block here that it's like a housing situation for different kinds of people. Like, unfortunately, some displaced veterans, some people that have come out of mental institutions and stuff like that. So no one really messes with me or anything, but yeah, I don't want them to necessarily see what's going on here inside the van. And I've seen people come up and walking around it. So, but I'll do everything in my power to make this better. DRB166 gave us $10 here. He says, I was going to give this to Aaron at We Like Shooting, but you know what? Thank you. We appreciate it. So sorry, so sad for Aaron. I like the guys from We Like Shooting. Yeah, so we were talking here about alternatives to ammo. I know ammo's like a tough thing. So other than the electric primer situation that we're talking about, what other alternatives do we have here?
I'm dry firing a lot.
Yeah.
Dry firing.
Insects for my dry firing.
Mm-hmm.
I do definitely keep my skills up. I mean, you got to stay with your skills. So, what is it? It becomes like everything. I want to conserve the ammo I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I have guys that come out and they come out, and they bring 1 box of ammo, and the guy shoots every Wednesday morning like clockwork. He shoots his 50 rounds of 38. For about an hour, drinking his coffee, taking his time, and enjoying himself, and he still enjoys the shooting sport. You know, we're seeing a lot of new shooters. None of my old ones are like, oh, it's too expensive to shoot. But some people, the people that show up, go, I don't know that. They don't know any better. They just want to shoot. You know, so they'll buy whatever, come out and shoot and have a good time. So, I think, like I said, I think, you know, like Rolando, I agree with him. I mean, ammo's expensive, and I shoot a lot. I'm not out there shooting 50 rounds. I'm out there shooting 100 rounds, 5,000 rounds.
Yeah.
So what I do, I changed my training, went more back to basics and very little shooting, almost no shooting, and just going drawing and practicing my draw and my trigger control and my press and movement and things like that. So
yeah,
I think training still needs to come.
Yeah. Now, what was the name of the company? I think you were on. Huh?
Mantis X.
Mantis X, yeah. They're the guys that have a bunch of different things that we could use to dry fire and get an idea of where the round's going and all that, right? I think it was. It was Mantis X. They had a whole bunch of different things. I would love to see that technology come along and get better, so people can train in the first place without burning. There's nothing better than actually shooting ammo, but it would be cool to get some more realistic training stuff.
For someone like us, where we shot, I know the feel of the gun, I know the shooting. What am I working on? I'm working on muscle memory, working on position, my body position. So now I'm concentrating more of, okay, what am I doing wrong? Okay, I'm leaning slightly back, or I'm not here. My hand's cockeyed. I'm now concentrating more on my basics than I'm engaging in shooting targets and doing all that. I'm still doing that, I can tell you that. I was lucky because about 5 years ago, I bought a system that uses computers, and it actually projects on a screen, and I can draw and shoot targets. But that thing's $5,000. There's nobody spending $5,000 for something like that.
You need space, yeah.
Yep, you got space. So what am I doing? I'm going back to basics and drawing, and I'm drawing. I'm doing mag changes, all the basic stuff that I want to work on. And then, so I'm still getting some trigger time. But again, I'm doing manipulation more than anything. Single or double round per mag, and random, and I'm doing malfunctions and clearing, and I'm doing all the basics. But I'm keeping it down to 20 rounds, keeping it simple. So,
there's a great video that Lucas T-Rex Arms made a couple years ago, and he brought this kid that was from Japan. Yeah, and he was shooting airsoft. And the great thing is that so many manufacturers obviously make their real guns in airsoft. So it's the same size, similar mass. So you have the fire control there, and he wanted to see. This kid shoots thousands of rounds, basically dry fire with airsoft. Will his skills translate to a real firearm? And once the kid got over the initial recoil and the sound, it did. And he was dominating like a professional shooter. So that's another alternative for people, too, that you can use an airsoft equivalent, especially if you have a mainstream gun like a Glock 19, SIG P320. All those companies make real versions of their guns. SIRT pistols are cool, too. All that stuff can help. And at least with an airsoft, you can still shoot targets and shoot steel, and you get a ping, and it's kind of fun at the same time.
It's good positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
The one I saw, the one I bought, it's pretty cool because you load the mag with 20 rounds. You put the air in it, so it's always a fresh cartridge. I had 3 cartridges. I'm like, I thought it was like a CO2 cartridge, like the old style. Heck no, man, those things are like real guns. It is absolutely insane. I haven't used mine. I was doing more of the dry firing and more of the Mantis X. But you're absolutely right. I didn't even think about how much airsoft. And you go to Walmart's and buy airsoft for $20 if you can't afford the higher end guns, pellet guns. I have 6 pellet guns.
Yeah, paint guns.
Yeah, paint guns. Anything that simulates the shooting. But my apocalypse gun is my bow. Sorry, I'm a bow guy. So.
Yeah.
No, hey, that works too.
Nothing wrong with that.
It takes out tires all the time.
Yeah. Let me get a couple of. By the way, please smash the thumbs ups out there. We appreciate you guys doing that. John Crump gave. By the way, John Crump was complaining that he wasn't invited to this show. He was doing that early.
He's been a good friend of mine in all of this. He's been helping me get the word out. He introduced me to you, so I want to say a thank you to him for this even being.
Yeah,
being
we love Crump around here, and we did invite him. He didn't respond to it. He says he just saw it now when he realized we were on air. But Lola was reaching out to him earlier about that. But yeah, it's nothing against Crump at all. He's a good dude. Is an awesome guy. Let me see here. Armament and Axes gave us $5. He says for better internet or antenna signal booster, or whatever makes the wheel of death stop spinning. Still hanging in there. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you doing that. Lola is thanking everyone out there for hanging in with us. So this is a great conversation. I'm really enjoying it. I want to switch out before we forget. There's this whole thing going on with Disney, and I want to see what everyone's idea of this is. If you haven't heard about it, here, I'll throw some stuff up on the screen. So Gina Carano, who's in The Mandalorian, she got fired. There's been lots of pressure to fire her. People aren't very happy with things she's posting on Twitter, etc. And I looked at those things. I don't really think there's anything wrong with it. I think the big problem is she's probably closer to us on the scale in terms of being conservative. So she's been getting all this pressure. Who's heard of this? What have you heard? I'll start with Rolando. So I know you're on top of this, Rolando.
Yeah, so for months now, Gina Carano has basically shown that she's, like you kind of said, if you want to say that she's on the conservative side of the spectrum. So she's been very much against kind of masking, kind of the usual thing that we've seen with a lot of freedom-minded folks, and shown skepticism. I would say skepticism is the right way of the powers that be, and you're not really supposed to do that. And it's kind of come to a head that the Twitter mob, as I like to say, has been trying to cancel her for months, but for the most part, people were defending her. A lot of it was rumors within Disney, and Dave Filoni, he's actually one of the producers of The Mandalorian, or no, I mean Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau,
yeah, was actually defending her for a while.
Now, I don't think she's
kind of came to a head.
Yeah, I don't think she's super conservative or anything like that. I think she just speaks her mind and she's tough. And why wouldn't you like a tough person? Because I know from the beginning of her on this show, they were trying to get rid of her. But from what I read today, it was because she put on her Twitter profile after her name, Beep Bop Boop. And I guess now you're not allowed to put Beep Bop Boop because that belongs to a certain classification of people. And
so let me get this straight. You're not allowed to have your own mind as a woman unless you're a leftist.
I heard a great point that they had to cancel her because she represents everything that they hate. Mm-hmm. She's an attractive but very powerful woman. Mm-hmm. She's independent. And she's and
as a actress in movies, I actually believe she can kick my ass.
Yeah, but she represents, because she draws the line of femininity, but she's still a badass.
Yeah, let me just put the headlines up here. So this is, and by the way, Mandalorian was one of my favorite shows, and I'm kind of disappointed that they're going in this direction. And this is from I think it's from the Hollywood Reporter. It says The Mandalorian star Gina Carano fired amid controversy, and this is a quote: Gina Carano is not currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future, Lucasfilm said in a statement. So, and if you I'm gonna try to find exactly where I saw the Beep Bop Boop thing, but that I read that in another thing, that it's people really got pissed off because she put that in her profile.
What is it? I don't even know what it is.
I think it's something. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up something that's got it here. So, one of the things is people are upset because she compared what's happening now to what the Nazis did to Jews, in terms of how people are getting canceled and who's getting canceled, right? I mean, and we know that she's not making it up. Time Magazine admitted that they basically companies got together and decided to start canceling people. So for her to say that this comparative to that is crazy.
Okay, so the Beep Bop Boop reference, for people that don't know, with internet culture and going on Twitter, there's a huge thing on the left of, if you don't know, this is going to get into gender, which is a huge this it's a firestorm on the left. So this is really what gets you canceled more than anything else. A lot of people are obsessed with their pronouns and being able, what pronoun do you identify as? So people are gender non-binary, or binary or binary gender. They talk about that. So if you take binary code into a computer, you'd use the slang beep bop boop like a robot. So that would be considered offensive, and you're being offensive towards people who use their genders. So that was crossing the line. Yeah, so that,
1, 2.
Yeah, 1, 2. So I guess it's offensive because by saying binary code, you're saying that there's only 2 genders, and that's offensive to some people that may believe that there's like 96. So that's really what got it canceled.
To follow to get there.
Well, and one of the
I just realized this. The fact that I know this stuff happens is disappointing to myself.
Talking about Betty Boop or something, or
but I knew it had to have been something stupid. So it wasn't necessarily. So if people want to know the actual thing that she said, that a lot of people, let me bring it up. She said, essentially, this is the tweet that everybody says that was wrong. She said, Jews were beaten in the street not only by, German soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children, in reference to World War II, obviously. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them for simply being Jews. How is that any different from hating somebody for their political views? So I don't see anything controversial with that, but they said anti-Semitic because you compared something to the Holocaust, and now you mentioned the beep bop boop thing, and I know that has to do with supposedly that offends.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I'll pull up. This is just what I'm pulling up here. Gina Serrano called out for transphobic Twitter presence, and it has a screen capture of her Twitter front page, I guess, and this is Gina Serrano, and then it has boop bop beep, okay, and that's what she had. She removed that, and she said, from the things I was reading, she said, she didn't mean it in like a derogatory way, because look, every word that has meaning, people could take that meaning and assign different meanings to it, right? So we kind of have this argument here all the time, but and for sure there's words that we all think, hey, this is a horrible word to use against people, whatever it's been for a long time. Now people are just making up stuff, and they're like, oh, you can't say that. Or if people start identifying with that, which is what I think one of the things that happened here, and her co-star on The Mandalorian, or the star of The Mandalorian, what's his name again? The guy who plays The Mandalorian?
Pedro Pascal.
Talked her down from that thing because he said that one of his brother or his sister transitioned or whatever, and that they have that on their thing because they're trying to take ownership of it, and it's offensive for her to do it. This is all getting crazy. Why can't she put this on her thing for whatever reason and assign her own reason to it?
Would it be offensive if I identify as somebody who believes in freedom in the Second Amendment unconditionally?
Yes.
Like, is that offensive?
Yes, it's offensive. It's offensive. Yeah.
So I can't identify as like an homosexual.
Yeah.
They think that that's mockery. I mean, it's
exactly
it's
this is where we're going with all of this. This is the problem with all of this, because this is not like, how do you know? It seems rational to me that she doesn't know what's the meaning of this thing, right? If people are taking this thing and doing this or that, it's like we do jazz hands. You think about it for a second. It's just a thing that I did to like break the ice. Okay, we're all about to get on air here. Let's do this thing and show that, we're not all that serious. But the reason why some people are like, oh, why do I got to do jazz hands, is because if you remember a few years ago, after we started doing this, there was a big meeting that all these super liberal folks had, and they weren't supposed to cheer and they weren't supposed to clap. So if they liked something, remember, they had to do jazz hands, and it became a whole thing, and people were like, hey, what's up with that? And now it has a negative connotation. So when people complain sometimes coming on the show, like, well, why do we have to do that? I'm like, hey, we're taking it back from the terrorists, or we're taking it back from the communists. Things have meanings that are fluid. you know. And so it depends on who's using it and what what they mean by that when they're saying it, and if they're trying to offend you or whatever. And so now the idea that you can't put beep bop boop or bop beep boop or whatever you want to, this is all craziness. But they're just looking for a reason to get rid of her, huh?
Well, I see now what they're saying, but that's a stretch.
Yeah.
That's like saying applesauce, you don't like apples.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. Thank you, Rolando, because I honestly had no idea. I'm just sitting here, I'm like, I must be the most ignorant person right now.
The crazy thing is, I looked it up to figure it out, but as I was looking it up, I figured it out in my head, and that disturbed me. The fact that I could think, I now can, their warped logic, I can now figure it out, and that's
this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to program us, and they're trying to take everything away from us. When you have nothing, they can make you into whatever they want you to be.
Well, I also think sometimes that's the difference between, I guess you could say, it's the right and the left. I don't even know what to call it anymore. But is that I know how they think. I can figure it out. I can see how they're manipulated and how they are. They don't understand how we think. They can't comprehend our concept of freedom and independence. That's the difference. I know what's going on with them. I can even tell you, this is how you're going to react to this. You're going to be emotional about this. This is what they're doing to manipulate you. And they're like, what are you talking about? That's crazy. I was like, no, it's like looking at the code. What was it in, and I don't want to spoil everything, but the latest season of Westworld, there's a character that doesn't know that they're a host, and this person is reading the script of all of their reactions of what they're going to say because they're programmed, they're an android. I was like, it's almost the same thing with their side. It's like, this is what they've done. They put you in this box, and I know that that's what's going on with you, but you can't even see our own logic, so that's why we can't even sometimes have a conversation. They can't even comprehend it. It's like speaking a different language.
Could take if they don't like you. They don't like Gina Serrano. They don't want to go after her just because these folks don't like her because she's she's a strong woman, not a dude who became a woman and then became strong. A woman who was born a woman, still a woman, but is a strong woman and still attractive to men, even though she's a badass or whatever. And she speaks her mind. I don't think she always agrees with us or whatever. She just says whatever she wants to say and what she believes, which everyone has the right to do. So they can't take her apart on that, right? That's a problem. You can't take her apart on that. So if they're looking for a reason, they'll take something like her saying, hey, this what's happening is pretty similar to what the Nazis did to the Jews. What's the lie in that? What's offensive about that? This is exactly what happened, right? This is exactly how they dismantled the Jewish people, right? In Germany. This is exactly what they did, what they're doing to us now. They're even admitting it. When you have Time magazine come out and admit it, this is what we're talking about here. So that wasn't enough. They're like, hey, we've got to hit her with at least two things. We can't just go this one thing because most people are going to look at that and say, So they came up with this stupid thing that makes no damn sense because she put this thing on there and someone claims it's offensive. How can you argue that?
Well, and this is why I think the only way that we can work peacefully is by voting with our pocketbook. Yep. And if you're opposed to, and look, see, they love to say on Twitter, well, if you cancel Disney Plus, which I did, because I was like, I hate it. I'm going to lose out on some content that I enjoy.
It sucks. I'm going to go home and cancel that thing.
Yeah, this is the only way. This is the only peaceful way that we can do anything about it and let them know about it. Now, some people might say, well, that's virtue signaling just like the left does. Or that's cancel culture. No, it's different because I don't believe that Disney needs to be destroyed. I just don't need to invest in their product so that they don't push an agenda that I don't agree with. Sure. That's totally different than me saying, well, Disney's evil, so their business should be burned to the ground. That's cancel culture. So it's where you want to destroy somebody's ability to even participate in the economy. That's really what cancel culture is.
Also, I would like to take my money from Disney and give it to whatever Gina Serrano does next, because I want to see examples of real strong women in the world. What's wrong with that? These guys are going to take my money and force examples of human beings on me that I don't agree with. That's fine, right? I ignore it. But when you take things that I do agree with and I do identify with, and you're like, yeah, we don't want this, we're not going to allow this, then I have the right to say, I don't want to funnel my money in your direction. I'm going to take it and put it in a different direction. It's not the end of the world. She's not done for. I'm sure there's lots of people that understand that she has star power and would be willing to employ her, or she could just do her own thing and we could just support her and give her the money directly instead of going through folks like Disney. But there's going to be more of this, right? I mean, ultimately, yeah, we can't cancel everything because then we'll just, we'll have nothing going on, man, because all of these guys are against us.
That's why we have to invest in companies that have the stance that we believe in. I think that we've gotten too far from believing in brands rather than what the brands actually stand for.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to, put your money where your mouth is, invest in companies and people that believe in your ideals and that support what you want. It's like investing in gun companies that don't try to lobby for pro-gun legislation. It's pretty ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So don't focus on those companies, invest in other companies that actually care about, your rights and what we believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if someone has had a point on this that they didn't get out. Austin?
Oh, and I believe highly in that. That's me and the other people really closely involved in Atlas Arms. That's like been our whole point is, we don't even, maybe this is sacrilege or whatever, like a lot of stuff we say, but we don't really believe in electoral democracy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what is that? You're gonna put a piece of paper in a ballot box and think you've done your civic duty? No.
Mm-hmm.
The real democracy is the open market. That's what it is. You vote with your dollars, and that is, you had to pay for that vote. You paid with it with your own personal wealth, your value, your time. That's democracy, and that's how you vote. That's how you get stuff done in the world. Democracy, government, the state, whatever, like it pretends to control things, but at the end of the day, like this world moves on the power of the market, and that's how you seize the power. The power you have as an individual comes from your economic value, and that's how you change the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree entirely. I'm happy to hear you say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trey, did you want to? I know you didn't know a lot about this. I know Rolando and I got a little excited, so I'm making sure.
Talking about economic power amongst gun toters for years. What do these guys do? We go out and we do. No, I'm not going to use Disney or these guys. We go out and we go to this company, and why can't they just sell their product and keep their political views out of it? But they don't anyways. But here we are buying all their stuff when we can go somewhere else and buy it, and either A, they're neutral, or B, they're more in our line with what we think. And what do those other people do? They take our money and they put it towards their politician that they want in place. They do their voting. They change the district. They push their judge. And then we're all sitting here going, well, that ain't fair. Who cares? They got us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go utilize our money, utilize it in a way that helps support us.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take time to know that if you're on a Republican ticket or more of a gun type ticket, is the guy really gun savvy, or is he playing you?
Mm-hmm.
I've already found 2 companies that say we're gun companies and we're charities. They're LLCs, and we honestly I think that they're actually other groups posing as these gun organizations taking money, and who knows what they're doing with it. They're probably using it against us as a gun company.
Mm-hmm.
And so take the time to do the research before you hand out money. Now, GOA, no brainer. That's easy. FPC, no brainer. That's easy. But these other companies like Local Florida Guns or whatever you want to call them, who are they? Where's the money going? What are they doing with it? Are they taking it and they're putting it into somebody else's pocket we don't agree with? Are they putting towards negative gun legislation?
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that. And here we are giving them money because we think we're taking care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. Really, we're shooting with our right hand or our left hand. Which am I going to do it with?
Mm-hmm.
We need to make sure when we're donating and taking care of ourselves that we know where the money's going, and it is important.
Mm-hmm.
Because I sit here in Lake County, Republican County, right? Everybody's Republican. No, you're not. We know you're not. You're a Democrat, but you can't run as a Democrat because you'll not make it. So you run as a Republican, but you're really a Democrat, and no one took the time to see that. They just check the box because they're Republican.
Yeah.
And that is a big problem. Do the time. Money's power. Even my $20 that I got, I can control food. I don't like McDonald's. I don't want to go somewhere nicer. And more people start to see me go there, and more people start going and do business. I can put a hurting on that McDonald's, and they're gonna go, hey, what's going on? Well, I eat healthy now. I don't eat that crap. I can make a change. Why? Because they're losing revenue, and in the end, it's about revenue.
Yeah. We are our own. We first of all, we are our own ecosystem, right? There is an ecosystem around the firearms world.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a lot of control over it, and we probably don't take control of it as much as we should.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and we need to be more vocal, because how many of these, like, let's take, Tucker Carlson's show or anything like that. How many times do you hear, like, they're going to cancel his sponsors? Well, that's because people from the other side that are opposed to him call the sponsors and try to get it canceled. Why, if you support him, aren't you calling the sponsors and say, I want you to keep sponsoring his show. I agree with it. I think he's awesome. We have to do the same thing. And I think sometimes conservatives are too conservative about things. Man, I'm just following the rules. I don't want to bother anybody. As long as you don't bother me, I'm cool, man. It's like, well, now they're bothering you, so you got to do something about it. They're poking you. You can't just sit there and take it. You got to be like, whoa, man, you slow your roll here. I'm not going to take that garbage. And so we have to do the same thing. I hate to say it, you got to whine like they do sometimes. It doesn't mean that you're going to be obnoxious and yell in the streets, but if a company's doing something that you don't like for no reason, you're like, wait a second, you're selling a product and you're marketing it to us, and you're letting people that clearly don't buy your product dictate and to take down your product or your brand. That's total BS. How many brands have we seen co-opted that you're like, or movies or video games? I'm sure, Austin, I know you're into games. Clearly, have we seen that where it's like, are you even the demographic that buys this stuff, and you're complaining about it? Like, you're not even in the market that matters for this. You even see it with cars, like people complaining about muscle cars. It's like, do you buy and drive muscle cars, Mr. Toyota Camry over there? No. Then shut up. Like, who cares? You don't have to buy that product. Why do you have to complain that I'm buying it? That's your problem. So we play the same game. And we have to do it because silence is, you agree with it. If you're not complaining, then that means that you're totally okay with how it's going. And it sucks, but that's the way it is.
The gun industry is weird, because you take 10 gun guys, put them all together, every one of them's different.
Yep.
And every one of them is willing to burn the other 9 guys. Crazy as that sounds.
Yep.
Burn them. We talked about this before.
It's like crabs in a barrel, unfortunately. We would be more powerful if we weren't like that, but unfortunately, that's how we do it.
It's like every fan culture sometimes, even though obviously we're dealing with fundamental rights, so it's a little bit different. But when it gets down to guns, it's like cars, it's like video games, it's like women with clothing brands or things like that. People get into their tribes and they're going to fight each other over the most stupid things. When it's like hunters, the eternal battle between the 2A absolutists and the hunting crowds or the FUDs. And it's like, this is so dumb. Like, we shouldn't even be fighting about this. It's so stupid. And we do, and we kill each other. Yeah. And then they fight and conquer.
They put us there.
Yeah.
And we fall into it every time because we want the conflict. We love drama. That's the problem.
Just as one of the instructors at the range, I'm not gonna say who. He's a good instructor, but he knocked the guy with a high point.
Yeah,
and he's talking shit. And later on I see him. I said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" He goes, "What do you mean? That guy's not gonna come back. He might not even shoot anymore. And what if he's a single father and all he's got $120? At least he's got a way to protect himself. You need to encourage him." Now maybe he sees it fails, it doesn't operate correctly or whatever. Then he goes, okay.
He's learning. He's learning.
Yep. The gun didn't work. You should honestly think about either A, cleaning it, B, sending it back, or C, finding an alternative. But if the gun works, who cares what he carries? He likes it. He bought it. End of subject. But I see it all the time. I see it all instructors. Got to get this gun. You got to get that. Now, they can impart their knowledge, but not everybody's the size of Hank or the size of Rolando or is my size. They got to get what fits their needs. Sorry, I might have a medium-sized car where Hank has a van for the apocalypse. So, but it fits my needs.
Yeah.
The guns are the same way. They're tools. I'm the weapon. The gun's a tool. Sorry.
Yeah.
So kind of like that.
Yeah, Austin, I know you want to jump in here. Go for it.
Austin.
Oh man, I don't know. There's so many places. Like
Yeah.
it's a fun conversation. Like,
It is.
The points come and go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'll say this. Hey, look. You know, I'm no leftist, right? But I think the you know, my politics are a little bit different. I wouldn't identify as a Republican necessarily. I think it's not too hard to see my anti-authoritarian libertarian streak, you know. But look, the gun culture is starting to like really diversify, and you know, like I'm really hooked up with a lot of those like 3D printed gun guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, like the quantity of like transsexual people that are in that community, you know. And like I think all that's ridiculous, you know. I mean, you know, whatever, I'll call you whatever name you want to be called. If you want to be called Sally and you have male genitals, then I'll call you by your name. Other than that, I think it's kind of silly, but you know, like they're into it. And like you say, like divide and conquer, like we need to welcome these people in. They're not leftists either, you know. The left might say they're all about these people. They're all about, you know, empowering trans people and all this. But look, I mean, they're coming to us to talk about guns and to get into guns. They're not hanging out in those you know, leftist spaces. And it's really, really cool to see that. And you know, that's something to be aware of. And those people are not. They are not the enemy that I think a lot of the older gun crowd thinks that they might be.
Well, we're definitely missing an opportunity if there's folks who want to come to us and find out about what we're doing and we don't want to do it, right? You know, I mean, I personally don't have any problems with people being who they want to be. It's fine. It's all good. You know, that's fine by me. I think that the Second Amendment isn't a political thing, right? And if you really want to empower a human being, help them, promote to them, teach them, give them the ability for them to defend themselves, right? Whatever it is that you think it is. So, yeah, that's the way that I feel about it. But we are being made into like, oh, this person's my enemy or whatever. And sometimes those folks on that side are doing the same thing. Because someone's saying this, they think they're the enemy because they're saying this. I go through that all the time where I run into folks who think I'm the enemy because if you say you're a Second Amendment guy, they think, oh, well, then, you know, you're my enemy because you probably hate me. Why? Why do I hate you? I don't even know you.
They don't know us. So what we see a lot of times is go to a range, Rolando, and don't look like a gun guy, and look how they shoot you. I go to range plain clothes. I'm like, hey, I was interested in learning how to shoot and looking at the range, and they're dicks. Not to say it any better than that. And so what happens is you walk in there, you walk right out. And so what did they lose? They lost. That's the next guy that would have voted yes or no on a gun movement or anti-gun thing. And I see this all the time.
Yeah.
We are the other way around. Hank, you know, because you deal. We are the other way around. Come here. How you doing? I walk over. I'm like a waiter, and I do look at it like a waiter. Walk over. Sir, how can I help you today? Guy's just sitting here in his car. Just sitting there. Sir, how can I help you today? I just want to check the range out. Well, why don't you hop out and I'll take you for a walk. You can look at some different stuff. You got any hearing protection? Nope. Here you go. Now you got a set of hearing protection. And a little foamy, sticks them in his ear. Got sunglasses? Perfect. Let's go for a walk. I'm the owner. Walk around. Yeah. This, and this. This is how we do this and this. He goes, oh, man, that's awesome. I go, do you shoot or you never shot before? Well, I was wanting to buy a gun for concealed carry. You take a concealed weapons class. I have not. We have a list of instructors. Pick. Okay, perfect. And then we just go from there. But you know what? Interaction. I talked to him. I was polite. I'm not like, you're a jackass. You don't know shit. Hit the road. That's what they do. They do it. And they're just like that. And they're rude and disrespectful. And then we wonder why we have the term FUD, or we have when we can't get people to come shoot. Why? Because they're jerks. I wouldn't go there and shoot. And I'm a shooter. And then when I go and get my pistol and come out and I'm blowing them all away, they're like, oh, you can shoot. Yeah, of course I can shoot. Don't you feel like a jackass now? You were rude to me. But they don't change. And go ahead, Austin.
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, I'm really, really glad that you view it that way. Viewing it as a waiter, as a service, like I think that's the way to go. But it is funny because, you know, liking interesting guns, gun technology, and my fiance is much the same. So we'll go into gun stores and look at guns that are interesting and not necessarily the most common, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me, an expert with ballistics, who's making new kinds of ammo, and I'll have the clerk there at the table be like, oh no, you don't want that, you want this other thing. Well, and it just makes me want to pull out that like Ron Swanson,
Mm-hmm.
like, I know more than you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, and yeah, because I don't look like a typical gun guy when I go into a gun store, and I definitely get that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've run into the 9 o'clock hour, which is awesome and amazing. I think we had a great conversation here. I know some folks out there probably didn't catch the whole thing. This will be on YouTube. You guys can come back to it. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around here and get everyone to tell you guys how you can follow them, support them, etc. I'm going to start with Rolando. How can the folks out there, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Gab, Minds, and obviously YouTube. I'm Puerto Rican Pistolero. My wife is Latina Locked N with the letter N loaded. And together we're the Locked and Loaded Latinos. We have a YouTube podcast and live stream every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. This week, like I said, she's going to be in Ambassador Academy, so she may actually be the guest of the show today. And I told her if you can grab like Diana Maj or any of those people, like just do it, and we'll bring them on the show, whoever you can get.
Awesome.
So it might be fun. So you can find us there.
Awesome. Great. Let me go to Trey. Trey, what can the folks do out there to get in touch with you or to support your efforts? I know you have Aries Training Facility. There we go. Here's all the things.
Dude, all right. Aries Training Facility. I am not as cool as Rolando. I do not have all that sexy stuff. And he does put out a pretty good podcast, so you guys are missing out if you're not seeing it.
Yes.
But contact me there, or 352-321-8102. I'm at Aries Training Facility or Aries Firearms Training. I'm in Leesburg. If you like long distance or like actually learn how to shoot instead of just static shooting pieces of paper, come out. We have a plethora of instructors. We'll help you out. We'll work with you. We're always building. We have fun. Just come out and have a good experience. And like, it's been a while since I've been on the show because I've been building and working, but come out and do some shooting. That's what it's all about.
Yes, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon out there. Right, now let's go to Austin of Atlas Arms. How can the folks out there support, follow you, find out more about what we were talking about today?
So you can go to our website. That's the first place I'd have you go. atlasarms.org, not .com, but .org, because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. Check out that'll tell you about our company, about us personally, and the projects we're working on. You can read all about it there. We do have an active crowdfunding. We've met our goal, but we're still we're given donation favors, and we're still accepting donations. However, you got to donate Bitcoin on our website because our friends at gundynamics.com, which was our crowdfunding site, had their payment processor kick them off, but ain't that how stuff is done in the firearms industry these days? So
I got two issues they don't kick, so I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Thank you. Check us out there, and then you can find, if you're interested in me personally for whatever reason, then you can find me on Twitter. I am at Sword4Gideon on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on, Austin. I hope you
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Please keep up with us. We would like to see this when you put things out or when developments happen. And I would invite you to come down and do it with me, or we'll go to Aries and we'll do when you actually release this. Let's put some practical videos out there for the folks to take a look at.
Grab an MP5 and just roll them, and we'll just put an armor and we'll just put right through it. I think it'll be interesting. We have some fun with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you as a trainer, I mean, like, we'd love to get your thoughts on it and see how maybe it, like, we want it to be used as practically as possible. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to Aries, as well as Aries Training Facility, Trey, as well as Rolando of Puerto Rican Pistolero. What is it? Latinos locked and loaded? Locked and loaded Latinos.
Locked and loaded Latinos.
Yeah, I knew it as soon as I said it. All right, guys, I'm going to go to the end, and then we'll come back and have the final word. Let's run the end in right now. Thanks for watching, guys. Please make sure you subscribe here to the channel. Ring the bell so you can be notified every time we go live. Smash those thumbs ups. Leave your comments. We're going to rip out the audio from this and put it up on iTunes and all the other places that you listen to your audio podcasts. Let's see. Okay, Austin, give us the final words here.
Oh man, I didn't have anything ready, but I suppose like, check us out. We know we're not typical. We know this is taken a while. That's people's biggest complaint, and we want to be as transparent as possible. It's coming along. It's going to be great. Bear with us, and I hope that we can kind of connect on some of the more unorthodox stuff we're doing. We're not doing it the usual way, and we hope that the people will see why.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're out of here, guys. And I'm gonna do my own podcast of car stuff over on Stranger Palooza at 9:30. So if you're interested in car stuff, join us over there. It should be more of a fiasco than this, I promise you. We're out of here. Peace.
Buffering.
Yeah.